Hello everyone, welcome to Be a Consulting Pro. This is episode 4 for our series PL-300 tutorial. And in this today's session, we are going to discuss about how to get data in Power BI. There are different data sources are available, even more than 200 data sources are available in Power BI to connect with and to get the data in Power BI, as well as there are different modes to get the data that can be import or that can be the direct query or the live mode. Also, there is a composite mode as well, which we call dual mode. So in this today's session, I'm going to explain you everything about it. So please stay tuned till the end of this video. Also, this video can be a bit longer, but this is very important video for DA100 exam. So please do not skip it. At the end of this video, I have provided a link for the case study for DA100 exam, and there are certain questions, so don't forget to go through that and answer me. In the next video, I'm gonna discuss all the answers with you. So enough all the talking, let's get started. Before moving further, first let's go through the question and answers that I asked you in the last episode, and in this episode I'm gonna tell you the answers of those questions. So let's head over to my laptop. So the very first question is, what is the common flow of activity in Power BI? And the correct answer is C, which says the first we need to bring the data into Power BI desktop, then we have to create the report. After creating that, we have to share it to the Power BI services, and once you share it on Power BI services, then we can interact with the report and can create the dashboards, and also we can view the report in mobile phone, or we can share with our different colleagues. The second question was, which of the following are the building blocks of Power BI? So here the answer is B, which says visualization, data sets, reports, dashboards and tiles. The last one was a collection of ready-made visuals pre-arranged in dashboard and reports is called what in Power BI? So definitely the answer is apps, because in we can get the apps made by different organization, as well as the apps from our or within the same organization or our own organization, and those are known as apps. The very first question comes into our mind, like how many data sources are available. So definitely in Power BI we have more than 250 data sources available, but we have categorized them into different categories. The very first comes into the flat files. So flat files can be a PDF, CSV, text file, etc. The second one comes into the database. Database also can be of different kinds. For example, Oracle database, IBM DB2, SQL Server, Cosmos DB, NoSQL, SQL relationship based databases, or non-relationship databases, document based databases. The third one is a Power Platform. Power Platform comes like Power BI, where we have Power BI dataset, data flows, etc. Then we have Power Automate, as well as we have Power Agent. So those are the different categories comes into this Power Platform, so we can also get the data from those. Then we have Azure. Azure is Microsoft cloud-based services, where we have Azure database, data warehouse, etc., Cosmos DB. So there's a lot of different services are available in Microsoft Azure, so we can get the data from there as well. And then it comes the online services. Online services are like websites, or you have to get some GitHub, etc. Those comes into online services. If some of the data sources you cannot categorize in these different categories, then definitely it comes into the other part. The very first point is that there are basically three types of storage modes are available in Power BI. Import and direct query I have already explained to you. Now the third one is the dual mode. Dual mode is the composite mode, or the composite model we also call it, and recently Microsoft also released the new composite model. So composite model in simple words is that if you are getting data from two or more data sources, that data set is known as the composite model. For example, once I'm getting data from the Power BI data set, and also I want to get the data from some of the flat files, then I can combine them, and that's known as the composite model for Power BI data set. Here you should remember that It's in the latest release by Microsoft in December 2020, that if you are making the composite model with the Azure Analysis Services or Power BI dataset, then automatically your live connection which you made to get the data from the Power BI dataset or Azure Analysis Services, it's gonna convert it into direct query rather than the live connection. And then you can use any other like SQL Server, or if you want to use any flat files to combine the data and making your composite model, so you can do that. So import mode, I have already explained to you. Once you are getting data into your Power BI file, you're gonna save the data into Power BI file, then it's known as the import mode. In this one, we are not directly connecting, or we are not making any live connection, so always be careful because it's gonna have the performance issues as well. No doubt the import mode would be the fastest connection in out of these three. That means the import, direct query and the live connection. However, import mode can have some serious performance issues when your file size is getting larger and larger. The second one is the direct query mode. So direct query mode is basically for the databases. When we are writing a query against the database, then getting the data from there, so that's known as the direct query mode. In this, there is a concept of query folding too. Query folding is a very important concept, and you should pay attention for this one. Reason being, in query folding, what happens, Power BI has its own language that we are using the M code language to get the data into Power BI in Power Query. However, database always understands the language of database, which is SQL, structured query language. So you can get the data from the database using structured query language only. But Power BI doesn't understand SQL, or the database doesn't understand the M code language or the Power Query. So whenever Power Query is sending a command to get the data from the database, so that M query is being converted into the native query of the database. So that is known as SQL. So once you will see on the applied steps, you can see the native query. So native query, you will see exactly which query is going to get the data from the database. For example, SQL database. So you will see over there, that is the SQL statements that is getting the data from there. But once it's gonna come back, then again it has to convert back into M code language, which you can see in the advanced editor of your Power Query, and that's how this query folding works. And dual mode, I have already explained you. When you are making a composite model, that is known as your dual mode. You can identify some of the data to be directly imported and other data must be directly queried. It allows Power BI to choose the most efficient form of data retrieval. Now we have discussed all these points, so there's another very important point that I would like to mention over here. That means the connections that you can see on your screen, like SAP HANA, SAP Business Warehouse, SQL Server Analysis, Power BI Dataset, Azure Analysis Services, these sources cannot be used with composite models. So Power BI dataset, out of these you can use now as per the December 2020 updates, but still it's in preview mode. It's not generally available, so we won't say for sure it's available. That depends on the feedback of the users, whether it's going to be in the general availability or not. Now whenever we worked on Power BI reports, there are the lots of issues comes, that's known as the performance issues. So how to solve these performance issues? Once you will navigate on Power BI, you will see Performance Analyzer. Using Performance Analyzer, what you can do, you have to just first open your report, click a blank page, then start your Performance Analyzer from the View tab. Once you will start the Performance Analyzer, then you can get back to the main page where your report is there, and it would start loading the data. It would tell you the timing, how long it's taking, or how long the visuals are taking to load the data, or the calculations, or the text queries, everything. So with the help of that, you can get to know the timing or the load time of the report, and then you can optimize it. And for the optimized purpose, you can use the Deck Studio as well as the Tabular Editor. Second one is the optimized performance in Power Query. In Power Query also we can optimize the performance, and that can be done using the several steps. You can for example, you can make the different columns for date and time. If you are getting them together, or it would use a lot of memory to process the things, so always try to make the different columns for date and time. Thirdly, the query folding. As I explained you, whenever the data is going into SQL Server or other databases from the Power BI, it converted into its native query, that is the SQL language, and you can also do the performance tuning in the SQL, and there are the different steps to do the performance tuning in SQL queries, which you can read online, or if you are already working on SQL language, so you know how to do that. Thirdly is the query diagnostic. Query diagnostic is a way you will see once you will go in the Power Query mode. After clicking on the data transformations, you will find an option of the query diagnostic, which would tell you the different options if certain error is happening or not, so you can go through that too. Now, resolving data import errors. So many of the times you will see that whenever we are getting the data from the different sources, we are getting kind of errors, and that can tell you, okay, the error is because of the previous steps or something, or your table is not found, or the columns has been changed or something like that. So over here we'll discuss about that. First of all is that very first is query timeout expired. Relational source systems often have many people who are concurrently using the same data in the same database. Some relational systems and their administrators seek to limit a user from monopolizing all hardware resources by setting a query timeout. These timeouts can be configured for any time span, from as little as 5 seconds to as much as 30 seconds and more. Secondly, the Power Query error, timeout expired. This error indicates that you have pulled too much data according to your organization's policies. Administrators incorporate this policy to avoid showing down a different application or a suite of applications that might also be using that database. Thirdly, we couldn't find any data formatted as a table. Occasionally, you may encounter the "we couldn't find any data formatted as a table" error while importing data from Microsoft Excel. Fortunately, this error is self-explanatory. Power BI expects to find a data formatted as a table from Excel. Then we have couldn't find the file. While importing data from a file, you may get the couldn't find file error. Usually this happens when somebody changes the name of the file, or the file has been moved from that place, so it can happen. So for that, you can go to the query editor window and then go to the source, and then you can change the path of the file. Lastly, data type errors. Sometimes when you import data into Power BI, the column appears blank. This situation happens because of an error in interpreting the data type in Power BI. The resolution to this error is unique to the data source. For instance, if you are importing the data from SQL Server and then see blank columns, you should, or you could, try to convert to the correct data type in the query. In the next part, I'm going to explain you how we can quickly use the different data sources together. Now we will see how to connect with the different data sources in Power BI and how to check the different options available for the storage modes. So enough all the talking, let's get started. As you can see on my screen, I have this Power BI desktop, so I'm going to double click on this one. Once the Power BI desktop is opening, it will take a couple of seconds to get open. Here on the top ribbon you will see the different options. One, you have this get data option where all the sources are available, and you can also click on more to see the more resources which are available, and these are gonna divided into these different categories as I explained in the presentation section or the theory section. So we have files, we have database, we have Power Platform, Azure services, online, and others. In the others you will see some web, some SharePoint, Hadoop, HDFS file, or the Spark, etc. But right now we are gonna go in the files, or you can just click all, or you can even search in the top box and you can type CSV. you will see this CSV option. Will say text or CSV connect. While you connect this, you can navigate where you have saved that CSV file onto your desktop or on your system. So currently I have that file on my D drive, so I'll just go over here. I'll click on D100, and in the data folder I have this file as my CSV file. I'll just connect and open. So you will see it's gonna connect with that file. It's gonna make a connection and it's gonna give you a preview over there. You can check the headers as well as the data whether it's appearing correct or not, and you will notice over there this would the very first option, file origin, is gonna show you the Unicode. You can even change it if you want to, but I'll suggest not to do that. Then we have the delimiter, whether it's a tab delimiter file, comma delimiter file, you can also have that option. And then you have how many rows you want to see for this type of preview. Even you want to make some changes, you can do that, or you can directly load the data. In our case, we can directly load the data, but I'll just show you. If you will click on transform, you will get other options where you can transform the data, you can change the format type, etc. And on your right hand side, you will see this option where all the applied steps are being here. You will click on the source and there is a gear icon. Once you will click on that, you will see the path from where this file is coming, what is the file open format, etc. all these things. So you can always check that, and then whatever you are gonna apply the steps, etc., those are gonna appear over here. Once you have these steps, what you can do, you can even maximize this window in order to see other columns. You can even change their data type, etc. You can apply a lot of transformations over here, which are applicable for everyone. Once you will get the data, you can do the data massaging over here. Once you are done with that, just go over here, close and apply, and it would again take a couple of seconds, so the minute depends on the load or the data, how much the data is there. Once you are done, you will see we just connected through import mode, and our table is over here with all the column names. Also, if you want to see the data, you can come in the data pane, and in the data pane you will select the table and it's gonna show you the data. So over here now you can see your whole data is there and all the columns. At the bottom you can see the table name and the number of rows which are present in this table, and also you can see the update available, click to download if you want to do this kind of options over here. Now let's talk about this option if we want to connect with the SQL server. So in order to connect with the SQL server, you will click on SQL server. Here you can provide your credentials, server name, database name, and then you have import and direct query options. So it depends on you whether you want to import the data or not, but I'll suggest you that if the data size is not too much, then you can use the import. Otherwise, always I recommend you to connect the direct query. So let's see if we have any available SQL server over here or not. So I'll just click, I'll just say use my default connections, and it's gonna say encryptions. Click OK. Now you can see that already I have this adventure works, and from here I can select the tables if I want to. For example, I select this team customer, and then I go into the other tables as well. You can also see the preview of those tables side by side, or you can just select this option at the bottom, select the related table. So I'll just select the related table. All the tables are related to dim customer, it will automatically select. Then you can transform the data if you want, but since it's coming from the database, so there are chances, very less chances that you want to do that. So just load the data from here. And you have also noticed that one file I selected from the flat file which was on my desktop, another is from the SQL server. So definitely there are two different data sources. That means I'm using the composite data model over here. Now if you will see the data model over here as well, you will see the two different data model. Let me minimize it a bit and see. There are the three tables at this portion and one table is over here. So we are using the two different data sources, and you can easily recognize it over here. Now let's go further, and I want to show you one more thing, the last thing. Now similarly, you can connect with the analysis services as well, or if you want to connect with the Power BI dataset, you can just connect over here, and you have to sign in for that, because if you want to connect with the Power BI dataset, that is gonna connect with your Power BI services, and for that you have to make sure that you have the access, or you have logged in or signed in over here with your Power BI service account. So as you can see on my screen, I have logged in with my BI Consulting Pro account, and now I can connect with the Power BI datasets as well. So if I have connect with the Power BI dataset, one option is that you will go in the get data, and then you will select the Power BI dataset, so Power BI data flows from here. Other option is directly over there, click on this Power BI dataset. Once you click on the Power BI dataset, you will go here, and I'll see I have the different datasets available. So based on your organizations, whether they have certified those datasets or not, you will see certain endorsement icons over here as well, like it's being certified, not certified, or promoted, etc. So I'm gonna connect with the December 2020 update dataset, create over here, and it will take again a couple of seconds, and then it will get connected. So now you will see at the bottom of this screen, it's saying connected live to the Power BI dataset December 2020 Power BI update. So it's now, right now, whenever the very first time, if you are connecting with the Power BI dataset, data flows, or SSAS services, then it would connect with the live. Here you will see I have the different tables, etc. I can see the models, my model as well, which is over here, but I cannot see the data tab because it's connected live. Now if I want to make it as a composite model, that means I should have an option to connect with the Excel files with this dataset as well. Suppose there's a case when you have to get some data from your Power BI dataset, and you have also a file which have the target numbers, or which have some other kind of data, country data, or any other that you want to merge with this dataset. So then you can use the composite dataset. In these options, I believe I don't have that preview feature available, but we can check. So if you are not seeing that preview feature, you have to go in the preview settings, and in the preview features you should be able to see that option. So this desktop application is quite old, so if I'll just show you which version is that, I'll go in the about, and you will see over here it's June 2020. However, in December 2020 Power BI desktop update, you have that option, so you can connect as a composite data model as well. In this today's video's description section, you will find a case study. That case study may or may not relate it to this video, but that is very important for DE100 exam. So please, I request you to go through that case study, and the questions has been asked in that case study, and in the next video I'll explain you the case study as well as the answers. So let's see first the question and answers for this video. The very first question that comes is assume that you have a warehouse stock data stored in SQL Server. Your manager asks you to do Power BI report based on that data, and mention that he wants to see up-to-date data all the time. Which connections are you gonna use? So you have to choose the answer from these three options, which is import, direct query, and the live connection. The second question is that you want to change the storage mode of a data in Power BI file. Where you can change it? How you are gonna change this data connection mode? In the report view, model view, or the data view? Don't forget to answer me this one. It's very tricky one. I'll explain you in the next video as well. And the last one is, what type of expression do you see to extract data from Microsoft SQL Server? So whether it's a DAX, TSQL, or MD. So guys, please answer me all these three questions. If you don't know, that's all right. You can ask me, and I'll explain in the next video as well. I'll provide you all the answers. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and stay tuned for more updates. Thank you so much.